It's a breakthrough in so many ways for so many women who've been faithful to the ministry, so many ways.
Meet a local working woman who's a true pioneer in faith and see how she's made it from poverty to an historic first, coming up.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 5.
Today's working woman found her calling to the ministry 14 years ago when she was out of a job and down on her luck. Well, next week she makes history when she's installed as the first woman pastor of one of the major Baptist churches in the nation's capital. Even she was surprised when her congregation accepted her in this pioneering role.
Our church family is growing. We have so many new members coming and visitors coming to see what's that sister doing over there.
It is with laughter and joy that Reverend Britt embraces her work at the First Baptist Church of Deanwood, praising her congregation as she ascends to the top spot after 14 years in the ministry.
It's a breakthrough in so many ways for so many women who've been faithful to the ministry, so many ways.
As a woman, do you think you bring different sensitivities to the position that actually might be really good for a congregation?
Yes, most definitely. I know what it is to go into a welfare office and wait 8 hours to try and get some food stamps to feed my children. I had a brother murdered, nephew murdered, girlfriend murdered, girlfriend's daughter murdered.
Is this exactly how the church looked when you were going here?
Yes.
Having grown up in this community, Reverend Sarah preaches her comeback story. And her church is a haven where working parents can drop off their children at daycare and know they're safe from the drugs and violence that still erupt on nearby streets. And it's that commitment to people that has earned her such allegiance and love.
She earned it. She grew up in this church.
So she is most deserving, very caring, understanding, and all. That's Reverend Sarah.
Glory, hallelujah! Glory, hallelujah! And the ministry doesn't stop at the church doors. In this neighborhood, which still struggles with poverty, Reverend Sarah has launched a community outreach program to offer food and clothing and step in when the government can't.
And we as a church, hallelujah, will do our part to minister to the least, to the last, and to the nearly forgotten.
And for Reverend Sarah, it's her way of honoring the God that changed her life.
It's a comeback story. It's a story of a person who survived, and it's to say to every woman, every man, every child that you can survive.
You know, I asked Reverend Sarah where she found that vocation. When she knew she had that calling, she said she was out of a job with the federal government. She was on disability, injured, sitting at her dining room table and the room filled with light, and she just knew this was her calling, and her life changed from that moment.
God has a plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Incredible. You would think that a woman of that type would be in a Baptist church that size
in
at this
D.C.,
point.
she's the first one of a major congregation. There's some very small ones, women that broke away because they couldn't get that leadership role. But the very first one in D.C., there are others in Maryland. But this is really a very pioneering position she's in.
Fascinating. Looking forward to that.